Still Do Ministries every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is another episode, and today you will get some good information, some great nuggets, and some tools to strengthen your relationship. The Couples Corner with Team Bevins.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Couples Corner. We are Team Bevins. I'm Marcus, and this is my wonderful wife,
Sheree.
And so tonight we are discussing conduct. I'm going to open up in prayer, and then we're going to jump right into the conversation. So let's pray. Father, we thank you. We praise you for another day that you allowed us to see. We thank you for allowing us to gather together again in the Couples Corner. We pray, Lord, that you would be with us as we share tonight, Lord. We thank you, God, for the people who have joined us, and we pray, Lord, that you would allow us to get some insight, some understanding, and some tools that we can use to be successful in our relationships. We love you and we thank you for this time together in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So we're talking about not couples corner. We're talking about conduct. And so with this conduct goes a lot of ways. Ultimately, we initially on the offset think about just how you act. And most times when you talk about conduct, you automatically think about kids, because they're the ones who you usually hear something about conduct. Most adults don't really do too much with trying to make sure that their conduct is intact and in order. So we're gonna kind of deal with the conduct aspect of of our relationships, and it starts, of course, as an individual before it can transpire into being something productive in the relationship. So let's start here, babe, with conduct. What would you say would be the main thing that people would not understand about their conduct more than what they do right?
That is bad. That is wrong.
That is wrong. So that's very true, because, like, honestly, most of us don't really understand or realize when we are not actually utilizing our conduct in the right way. Some of us don't realize that what we do and how we do it can be offensive, and get bad results. So let's start here. So men, let's start with us. The first thing that I think that we have to keep in mind and remember is that your wife needs a husband, not a father. So it's easy for a man to slip into that role or that mindset that he can treat his wife like she is one of his children, because a lot of the things that he has to do for his children, he has to do for his wife. But you have to keep in mind that she's your partner, not your child. So, because you have the responsibility of providing and caring and doing all of these other things for your children, many of those same things are necessary for you to provide for your wife and more. But if you're not careful, then you can think that what you're doing for your wife is the same thing that you're doing with or for your children. And then here you are talking to your wife like she's one of your kids, and that's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. And I don't really know any woman that wants to be talked to or treated like a child, because you didn't marry a child. You married a grown woman, and if you're looking for a child, you already have some, or you got the ability to create some. But we have to keep that in mind, man, because we can't treat them like we're their fathers. They already had fathers, and if they didn't, then you're still not it. And we don't have the ability to be their father. And whenever we approach it and we treat it like that, we're setting ourselves up for some trouble. How do you think that can be detrimental to a relationship if a husband is treating his wife like he's her father?
It's going to be rebellion. It's going to be miscommunication and rebellion, because nobody wants to leave their father and get another father, or didn't have a father and then have somebody trying to be in that role. No, it's going to be rebellion and miscommunication.
I agree, and you know, I think that if we're not careful as men, that we will create a problem in our home that we will blame the woman for, when in actuality it really could be our fault if we are not dealing with our conduct the right way. If we're not approaching, you know, our relationships the right way, and we're not dealing with things from the right perspective, then we easily can jack this thing up, and we'll be trying to figure out what's going on, how and why, you know, these things are not happening and active, you know, properly. So that's going to be extremely important for us. And if we don't do it, you know, if we don't gain control of our conduct and our actions and what we do, we will mess our relationships up very quickly, and we will be the blame for the relationship failing. And there are a lot of relationships that have failed at the expense of the man that did not understand that he was dealing with an adult and not another child. What are some ways that you think that wives, you know, can kind of face or dealing with their conduct that can be detrimental to the relationship?
They cannot be mothers. You mean as according to their husband? Mm-hmm. Oh, they cannot be their husband's mother either. They
True.
cannot mother him. There are some things that he may need to learn.
Right.
There are some things that he may need to be taught, but the wife cannot motherly do it.
Right.
If y'all can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a way to communicate and teach without being a mother or giving punishment. Oh, you won't get sex tonight if you don't do X, Y, Z. That is not the way to treat your marriage.
Right.
Because reality is that sex in the bedroom has nothing to do with something outside of the bedroom. It's two totally different things. So if you're having issues with him paying bills, right, and you want to teach him how to budget, or you're upset because he didn't do what you instructed him or showed him, or the way to do it, then it's not good to give him a penalty.
Right. I agree. And so I think if we're not careful, we will allow our misunderstandings to become full out blowouts, and to really become the demise of our relationships, because we have not effectively communicated where we stand and how we feel. I think that plays a part in it too. You know, of course, the individual's conduct is that's going to speak for itself, but we also have the responsibility of making sure that the people that are in this relationship with us, that we communicate with them properly. If we don't communicate properly with them, then we will definitely, you know, put ourselves in a position where we will invite frustration into our relationship, all at the expense of us not effectively communicating. And if we don't do that well, you know, we're really setting ourselves up for failure, and that's not going to be, you know, that's not going to work well. So, you know, I guess one of the questions that we can deal with too, dealing with our conduct, you know, and when we get in the second segment, when we, you know, open up the phone lines and start taking, you know, some questions and some calls and things of that nature, that we'll deal with, you know, do you carry yourself the same way when your mate isn't with you that you do when they are? Because that's something too. You know, everybody doesn't do that. Everybody doesn't conduct themselves the same way when they're without their mate as they do when they're with them. So that's important, because if you're not doing that, if you're not showing that same level of respect for your mate when they're not around that you are when they're with you, then, you know, your conduct is questionable. And that's something that we, you know, definitely have to look at and to consider too. So let's look at the Bible. So in 1 Peter 1:13, we'll check that out. And so thinking about, you know, of course, understanding the full scope of what our responsibility is in our relationship is, and understanding that theoretically our relationship is supposed to be based off of the conduct that the Bible speaks of, because that's what marriage is really based off of. And so, you know, with that, looking at verse 13 of 1 Peter, the first chapter, Verse 13 says, therefore gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and rest your hope fully upon the grace that is to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ, as obedient children, not conforming yourselves to the former lust, as in your ignorance. But as he who called you is holy, you also be holy in all your conduct, because it is written, be holy, for I am holy. So, sometimes we don't want to deal with the fact that there is an expectation for our conduct. Of course, people start thinking, and they get to the place where, oh, I'm grown, I'm big enough and bad enough to do what I want, say what I want, who gonna check me, that whole concept. But there's an expectation for your conduct if you're going to be in a relationship that's going to be successful. There's some things that you should not do and should do, and if you are a believer and you are functioning as one who follows what Christ did and what Christ says, then you should be operating from the perspective of pleasing Christ, and in that you would also be respectful in your relationship with your conduct. So, that goes for frivolous flirting and, how you conduct yourself in the presence of other people, the things that you do, because at the end of the day, you no longer just represent you represent your brand. Your relationship is your brand. So I no longer am just a representative of Marcus only. Everything that I do, everywhere that I go, the way that I conduct myself is going to be a representation of my wife as well. The same vice versa. Everywhere she goes and everything that she does is going to be a reflection of me. So we are no longer operating in and of ourselves, but we're operating as a unit in representing the brand. So that's big, because if we don't understand that we're representing the brand, then we can think that we can just do whatever, and it's kind of like, oh, well, why you tripping? Because that's just me. I did that, or that's just the way that I feel, or that's the way that I think. And if we're not careful, we can do harm and we can do character defamation within our relationship just on the mere fact that we are not respectful to our relationship with our conduct and with our spouse. So that's important. What's one of the things that stands out for you with that scripture?
Well, one of the things that stands out with me, period, is, let me talk to all engaged couples, okay? If you're engaged and you do not want to be responsible for how you're seen as a couple, as a family, then don't get married. Because whatever you would do, like you said, will be a representation of a family. It'll be just like you representing your parents. Once you get married, you will be representing your spouse. And for those of you who are married, like we are, for those of you who are married, you have to be very mindful of what you do. I just really want to go, y'all know I like to talk about social media. I would like to know what your social media conduct is like. For those of you who are not friends with your spouse, what is your social media conduct like? Like, all of that matters. What is your conduct like at work? Who are you at work? When somebody see you out with your spouse and say, who in the world is this? Totally different person. Who are you? Are you that same person at home that you are outside of home? Right. Because it matters. And it's not even if it's not about flirting, it's just about your overall conduct. How you are representing your last name.
It's good.
Your married last name. Because everybody's name should be not hyphenated. It should be the last name of your husband. But we're not talking about hyphenations today. So, but if your last name, that's what it should be. You wanted to get married, so you took on this thing, this last name, this lifestyle, this, covering for the women. And what is your conduct, and that's why I really can't get with men who are like, she just this and she just ghetto and she whatever, because she was that when you was dating her.
Right.
And so do you think that because you married her, she was going to change? She was going to change. Some of us was given a representative, but some of us was given our full out ghetto, our full out ratchet, our full out bougie, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be, bad, and ghetto's not a bad thing. It's just your conduct. But for someone to say, oh, I can't, it's just not, she can't I don't like the way she does XYZ, or I don't like, well, that was happening before you got married. So now that you are a couple and you have to be responsible for each other's conduct, how are you going to fix it? And what do you do to ensure that you are properly conducting yourself so that you will be pleasing to God, and not only God, but the name that you represent?
Right. That's very good. Because, like, honestly, I think that some engaged people don't understand, you know, how good they have it. Like you made mention of that concept. You know, there's some things that that they need to remember and consider, that you haven't said I do yet, and you are still in the evaluation stage, even though your feelings are involved, and even though you are you know, in this committed relationship and you're planning to spend the rest of your life with them. Don't miss the signs. You know, don't miss the signs that are given and the things that are being shown to you, because if you miss them now, they're going to still be present after you say I do. And they're probably going to show themselves even greater, because there's a sense of entitlement after I do for many people, especially if there's a conduct issue. And so, you know, that's important, because as you look at your, you know, your fiance, you have to I always tell people that if you're engaged and you're planning to get married, you need to be able to get married on your wedding day and be happy for the rest of your life. If your spouse never changes, if they never do anything different, you could be able to be happy for the rest of your life marrying them the way that they are right now, because that means you're marrying their reality and not their potential. Because if you're marrying their potential, then you're marrying what you hope they're going to become, what you think that they're going to do, and what you think they're going to, you know, finish, and how they're going to turn out and all of that. But the reality is who they are right now. And if we get married today, that you would be able to be happy with me, with us being this couple for the rest of our lives. So if that's not your case, if that's not your story, then you need to really, you know, evaluate that. Because if you're marrying for potential, what if they decide they don't want to do that anymore? Or what if they decide they don't want to become that, or they don't want to do that? Then you're stuck with what you have in your head of who this person is supposed to be and what they're supposed to do and their capabilities, versus what they have in their head of what my reality is going to be. And their conduct is going to be according to what they feel and what they think. So if you have this hidden agenda, and that hidden agenda being what you think in your mind and what you think would be, you know, the way things would turn out, then you're going to end up disappointed. So you have to pay attention to the signs that are in front of you, and believe who they show you they are, because that's the truth. They're showing you who they are. You know, it's not like, oh, they're just this, or oh, they're just that. You know, you have to see it for face value. And even some of us in marriage, you know, have done that, you know, in the beginning stages of our relationships, where we gave some passes to some things that we should have taken note of. Because, you know, there's a difference between something being a mistake and something being your character. You know, something being a mishap or a mistake, and something being your demeanor. You know, if you have anger issues, if you have challenges, and where you can't control the way that you communicate, you can't control the way that you talk, or you can't control the way that you respond, or, you know, you black out when you get angry, or you cuss people out when you, like, those are character things. You see what I'm saying? Because that's present. That's who you are. That's what's going to happen every time you get upset. That's not something that, oh, just this one time I called you out your name because I was angry. No, you have to pay attention to that, because especially when you look at the situation and realize that this was not something that was that big, but you ended up all the way here. So there's a trigger somewhere in there, and I need to pay attention to that trigger, because the moment that same place is stepped on again, I'm going to get this result, because this is a part of your makeup. This is a part of your character, and this is how you're going to act and respond. This is going to be, you know, your conduct, and I have to be okay with that. And if I'm not, then I need to say that. I need to address that within myself before I try to address it with you. But I need to know that I'm not okay with you cussing me out. I'm not okay with you putting your hands on me. I'm not okay with you leaving out. I'm not okay with you not coming home, or whatever the scenario is. I'm not okay with that, and that has to be understood. And then that makes things a little different, because as we you know, make those things happen, then it becomes, the relationship is able to grow, because there's some transparency within the relationship. But that's an excellent point. to the engaged people. So let's jump back. Let's jump back to that question, because we could kind of unfold that a little more. Do you think, from what you see, just observing in everyday life, be it with just encountering, we got work, you have people that just regular friends, and ministry, social areas, social media, of course. Do you think that people are the same way when they're without their mate as they are when they're with them?
I think that a great deal of people are not.
Are not. Okay.
Are not. Now, there are some people that are who they are, but I think that a great deal of people are not. Yeah, I just think that if their spouse was a fly on the wall, sometimes they would just be surprised. Like, you said what? You did what?
Right.
That's what you did? Oh, that's really how you talk? That's really how you Right. I mean, for the most part, most couples that are social media friends together are always together, probably do.
Okay.
But they're a good amount, I'm saying, that
right.
are not.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would agree with you. And I think that part of that comes from some people just not being, it starts with you having to be receptive and accepting of who you are as an individual. That's where it starts. And I think that a lot of people are not really comfortable, or have not really accepted who they are at the core. And so because of that, they try to be whatever their wife wants them to be, or whatever their husband wants them to be. And then when that husband and that wife is not around, then they are themselves. And it's almost like you got to put on for your spouse, because you're trying to keep them impressed, or you're trying to keep them, you're trying to stay on their good side, or you're trying to, whatever the case. But I think that you need to be able to be you, and not put on a front, or not put on a facade, or not have to put no additives or preservatives to your character because of your mate to try to make things better. I think that you should be able to be who you are, and you be okay with that, and so is your spouse. Because if not, then you're gonna get caught slipping. You're gonna get caught, you're gonna get caught slipping. You're gonna forget, oh, I'm with you and I'm supposed to be proper, or I'm with you and I'm supposed to be urban, or I'm with you and I'm supposed to be, spiritual, whatever the additive or the preservative that you add to your character.
Because I'm not spiritual.
Right.
And people think that. They were like, oh, Pastor Marcus' wife, I am not Genesis to Revelation. I cannot spit it out for you like that. Now, I can do what I need to do when God allows me to do it, and I'm in the flow of it, but I'm not walking around, floating around, spitting out scriptures to you because I'm Pastor Marcus' wife. That's not what's happening.
Yeah. And I think too, people have to find, even in that, I think people have to find their balance. You have to find the balance in who you are, in being able to be effective. I think that sometimes there are some expectations that people have, on some other people, and with those expectations and the things that they're trying to get them to do and to be, sometimes the individual don't want to be that. And then sometimes they end up faking it. Sometimes they end up trying to please the people, and in essence, they end up being miserable. And I think that would account. I think that would account for a lot of people being frustrated, a lot of people being depressed, a lot of people even down to the extreme of some people committing suicide and all of that, because they get tired of trying to be what everybody else wants them to be, and they can't be themselves. And I think that you end up living a miserable life when you're trying to be what everybody wants you to be, and you're not yourself.
Yes. Trying to impress family members, trying to do... No, you can't do it. You can be consistent in the conduct that you have. Now, let me say that if you know that your conduct is a problem,
right.
Like you going around, like you said, you just cussing people out every 2 minutes and all of that, and you're trying to change your conduct, the best way to make make a believer
Mm-hmm.
out of the people who have seen you do that is to be consistent.
Right.
That's the best way. Just be consistent, and whatever you're trying to change, whatever you're trying to do, just be consistent, because consistent conduct wins.
It definitely does.
Not today you're calm, and then by Friday, oh, I knew it was going to happen. She on 1,000, he on 2,000. No, it's like something happens on Friday, and you're still the same person that you were
Right.
on what's today? Monday. Okay. On Monday, I'm about to say Tuesday. So that's how you are going to make a believer out of people when you have had the wrong conduct in front of, even with your spouse. If
Right.
you are nagger women, if you are nagger, and you know, you've been in prayer and you are like, I just don't want to be a nagger anymore. I want to be an effective communicator, but not nagging. You have to consistently practice the change. So
Right.
whatever your change is to not being a nagger, if it's let me be quiet for a day and then talk about it the next day, or let me just do it, or whatever it is, you have to consistently do that and not change for 2 weeks and then be like, see, this is what I'm saying, it don't even work because
Right.
that's why, and see,
Yeah.
no, and start clapping your hands.
Right.
No, that's not going to work, because then, you know, first of all, God is like, I'm not the genie, you know.
Mhm.
You didn't just come into this bad conduct, you know.
Right.
You practiced that and you perfected that. You perfected the cuss out.
Yep.
You
that's the truth.
perfected the argument. You perfected that thing. So why wouldn't you have to be in a process to perfect the change?
That's good.
But nobody wants to do the process, and nobody wants to be consistent. You know, there are some of us that want our husbands to do something different, you know, and we can't be consistent and patient and long suffering to continue to stay focused, whether it be go to church, whether it be have Bible study at home, whatever it is. We can't be consistent and stay focused. Whether it could be anything, it could be try a new business with you, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we can't stay consistent and focused to let them see like this is something you really want to do, or you really want them to be into, to see the change. We stay consistent for a month and then we're running our mouths again, or
Right.
we're, you know, forget it because my girlfriend she gonna do whatever with me, she gonna be my partner, forget it, you know, you don't have to, whatever, you know. So we just have to be consistent in our conduct, and that's going to win the world for real.
Right.
Because if you're back and forth, people don't know. People scared of you.
Yeah.
They don't know. I know for a fact there's some people out there somewhere that are scared of me because they don't know. They didn't know when I was going to just lose, or when I was going to say whatever I want to say out my mouth. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I'm not a straight shooter, because I am.
Mhm.
I am, but I have learned how to not embarrass people in the process, or if I'm hurt, to hurt them,
Right.
because some of that comes from hurt.
Right.
And so but I'm sure there are some people that's like, I don't know about Cherie. I'm not, you know. And then there are other people like, what? She's so nice. She this and the other. You know, I've been told you love me or you hate me.
Mhm.
There's no in between when it comes to Cherie Bevins, and that's okay for me. So, but I have learned that I can't just walk up in a whole crowd and be like, "Girl, you still, oh boy, what you know?" I just can't.
Right.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I have to. There's a time and a place for everything. You know, as the Bible says, that there's a time for everything,
Yeah.
and I had to learn the timing.
Right.
And I'm still learning, but I'm way more consistent now than I ever was in my life. So take it from me, consistency wins.
Yeah. It really does. And you know, I mean, like there's a point where you have to learn how to check yourself, you know, because if you don't check yourself, you will continue to just allow your life to roll on, and you won't make any necessary adjustments, because you'll be fine with the way that you are. You know what I mean? We have to within ourselves leave room for growth, for maturity. and we have to make the necessary moves and adjustments and the things that need to take place in order for us to mature and to grow and to become better. Because if not, like, what are you going to be? You're going to be 10, 15, 20 years, 25 years in marriage still acting like it's your first year. There should be some growth in you as an individual, which should cause your relationship to grow. And no, we're not talking about that you should be in less love than what you were in your first year, but we're talking about as an adult, as a person, you should be able to grow, you should be evolving, you should be becoming better. You should have more wisdom, you should have more self-control, you should have more understanding, more compassion. You should have learned from some of your experiences in life, whether they were good or bad. Either way, it was a lesson. And so as we learn from that and we make the adjustments in our lives, then we become better spouses. We become better mates in our relationship, and then we make things better. But like, if we aren't willing to first be honest with ourselves and say, hey, check this out. You consistently I consistently jack this up. I consistently make these kind of errors. I consistently make these kind of bad decisions, or, I know I'm not good with money. So why do I keep putting us in these type of bonds? Why do I keep overspending? I know I have a issue with balancing a checkbook, or I know I have an issue with making sure that things are in a good place. Like, we have to grow up to the point where we own our own stuff. And stop pointing fingers and trying to say, oh, the devil made me do it, or, oh, this was my reaction to this person. No, we gotta deal with the fact that we are not perfect, and as wonderful as we think we are individually, we still got some faults, and we can't get upset that our spouse decides to point them out, because they are the closest to us. They see the real us. Nobody knows me better than you do. And nobody knows you better than I do, because we see each other with our hair down. We see each other's flaws. We see each other's messed up. Don't come for my hair. Don't come for my hair.
Okay.
But we see those things that everybody else don't see, because when we go out in public, everybody's putting that best foot forward. Everybody's going out there looking $1 million, acting $1 million. But when you get home, that same $1 million attitude, that same $1 million, character ain't always at the house. So that person knows you. So sometimes they are sharing some things because they're trying to make you better. They're trying to help you to see that, hey, you can improve. You could do better in this area. And so when we recognize that, then hopefully we're open and embracing those things so that we can become better. So, all right, let's jump to the second segment where we allow some comments and some questions. And so for those of you who are live with us through the app with MixStation, then you all can call in. And the number is 1-855-493-6499. Again, that's 1-855-493-6499. As well as those of you who are connected with us on social media, feel free to share your questions or your insight on what we're sharing with. So let's go back to that question that we started out with about, do you think that you carry yourself the same way when your mate is not with you that you do when they are? Now, I know some of you, we might not have too many people that's real enough to answer that question, or willing to be honest with that. But for those of you who are, and so that it's not specific to just you, but just to people that you have encountered, be it at work, in your social environment, social media, are people the same way when their spouse is not with them that they are when their spouse is with them? That's the question that we're dealing with right now. So if you want to call in, again, the number is 1-855-493-6499. And if you want to share on social media, then you are welcome to do that. I'm gonna jump back, on that question, because I think that the answer again is no. And one of the reasons that I think that is no is because I think that for some reason in a lot of relationships, I see a lot of people have fear in their relationship. And it's not the kind of fear like abusive fear. It's just fear of being themselves. It's almost like I fear being the real me because I'm not sure if my spouse is going to judge me, if they're going to accept me, or if they're going to be embarrassed by the real me. So I have to be the calm me when they're around. I have to be the conservative me when they're around. But when they're not, then I can be, I can be a little more, I can be a little more friendly, a little more fun, a little more down to earth. I don't have to be as politically correct, or I don't have to be as, you know what I mean? So I don't have to be as so uptight or whatever. But I see that as kind of being a fear of being your real self with your spouse. And I think that in and of itself is a problem. I think that that's a problem. But I see that a lot, honestly. I see a lot of people that they're like, no, let me not do that because he here, or let me not do that because she here. And it's like, well, why would you wait till they're not there to do it? You know, what I mean, what do you
think? It's just a part of their conduct that embarrasses their spouse, and they just know that because they had an incident or two, and so because they haven't changed it, then they just decide to hide it.
But is it really hidden?
So yeah, I mean, it's not really hidden, but it is because
it's hidden to the spouse, not to everybody else.
Or they're not doing it when the spouse is around, you know. So they can go out somewhere with their spouse and something happen, and they have this calm reaction. But if they were by themselves or with their homeboys or homegirls, maybe that would be different, because these are the people that accept it. Sometimes you accept conduct, you know, sometimes, especially, you know, people that are from your past, maybe, they accept things that maybe aren't so good now in your future. Okay. So you can kind of get away with it when maybe you shouldn't get away with it.
Gotcha.
So they feel more comfortable, like, okay, if I'm with my homeboy, I can say this or do that. But with her, she's gonna freak out. Like, what? Right. What just happened?
So I guess, and that's a very good point, because I think that is very true. That, you know, it's kind of, if you have a real friend, then your real friend is kind of like a no judgment zone. So you could be over to the left, and they're not gonna judge you because they're your real friend and they know who you really are.
And I think your spouse will be that way too if you gave them that person
opportunity
when you were dating them.
Right. You can't wait. You can't wait 7 years in
and
then bust out and be like, "Bam! This is who I really am." Like, they're gonna be like a culture shock. Like,
now they confused.
In the world,
like, oh my goodness,
is going on here?
What did she just do? Like,
right.
So yeah. I think that if we just be ourselves, and I know that this is a problem, because this is a problem in many churches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, this is even a problem at the workplace where people are not themselves, you know. And yeah, there's a time where you have to go into meetings and you have to, present yourself in a manner that, you know, but there are some things that coworkers, might see you outside and say, what's happening? You do that? Oh, you okay? And not that they should know all of your business, but it's like you're a totally different person. We would not be talking about the same person,
right?
You know. And I just think that if we are just ourselves, you know, in church, you know, people always talk about masks.
Right.
You know, people have masks on. Mm-hmm. I think it's just a learned behavior. I think they just watch what somebody else does, and then they feel like when they were themselves, they weren't accepted. So let me just do this. Let me just dress like this. Let me just wear my hair like this. Let me just say this. Whatever's accepted,
right, or
seems to be accepted. You know, I would go out on a limb to say you can go to, 3 churches, and there's one thing at each church that a lot of people do,
right,
because that church accepts that.
Gotcha.
And even if it's not your character, or even if it's not part of your conduct, then you do it to fit in, instead of being like, no, I'm not getting a perm in my hair. I don't care if the first lady got her hair perm. I don't care if the rest of these people and he got their hair perm. I'm going to wash my hair and come out and go.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm going to come to church, and I'm going to sing on the choir still, and I'm going to usher at the door still,
right,
and I'm going to be accepted because this is just me. Now, some people that are doing this are doing it for a wrong reason, but there are some people that are not being themselves. You know, there are a lot of people that wear their natural hair on the weekend that can't do that at work,
right,
or that won't do it at work for fear that they won't be accepted. There are some women that I know that husbands never even seen their hair not done. So when they get sick or something happens, I'm not wishing sickness on anybody, but when a hard time comes or something happens, what is he going to be devastated?
Right.
Because he really doesn't know the real you.
Yeah. He knows the
So-
made up.
He does. He knows the made up you, you know. So I don't. So I think that if we give our withered hand, if we give our all, everything, the bad parts of us and the good parts of us, you know. But see, there's another thing. You take a chance of that other person not wanting you.
Right.
You know, if a man really says, "Listen, I really can't read past 4th grade," then you give the chance that the woman is like, "Well, don't want you."
Right.
Or I'm gonna teach you how to read, or you know, whatever it is, because you don't want to feel like, oh, this is weakness.
Yeah.
So we have to put our self, give our real self. And some of us, you know, we've been doing this for 10, 12, 13, 14 years, you know, and I know that you're not giving your real, because I see when you're released, if you're divorced, if you get divorced, you are somebody I can't even recognize.
Right.
Some of the men and women you're divorced, and I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you? Because what was this for? What was that for? Was that because you were connected to this person and you felt like you had to do this? Was that because they wouldn't let you shine? What is it? Because you get a divorce and then
You turn into something else.
so totally. So I know that we're not letting our real self shine. Well, I do, but I can't. But I will be honest with y'all. I can't always tell you that I haven't felt like, oh, this is not accepted, or oh, I know I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna lose friends, or my husband gonna lose friends or family members because of me. It's happened, I'm sure, and But at the same time, if you get to know me, you'll begin to understand me and you'll see my change.
Right.
You know. And so I'm grateful for the people who don't just judge me off the bat and then get to know me and see my change. But that's the thing. Like, nobody wants to live feeling like, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't say that. Oh, I can't. If I go here and say that or look like this, they're gonna, you know, think I'm weird, whatever. Nobody wants to do that, because as you keep doing that for a long time, it's not gonna be good in the end. You're going to explode because you have all this inside that you just want to be you. You just want to be free.
Right.
You know, you just want to be like, oh, I'm finally free. Like, now I can just say what I want to say, do what I want to do, wear my hair anyway, whatever. So
do you think that this really started? Do you think that this really started back in the representative day? Because, you know, when you first meet people, most people are not getting the real you. They're getting the representative. So because people are putting out this representative, at what point do you put the representative to the side and be the real you? I think that's where it starts.
I think after the first date, you got to put the representative away, because if you're going to go any further, the representative has to go away. It's just like getting a job, because the real person is going to show up one day.
Right, but I'm saying, like,
publicly or privately.
But I think this is the start of where this problem occurs, because if I meet you and I give you my representative, I give you everything that's great about me. I don't show you any signs of weakness. I don't show you any signs of flaws. I don't show you any of those things. At what point can I start revealing, hey, I don't clean my house. Hey, I don't, you know, I don't manage my money well. I don't. When can I show that?
Well, some of those things people will never reveal. Some of those things people will never reveal. It will be something that you see when you get on the inside. Like, oh, wait, nothing is in your name? Right. Your car's not in your name? Like, you don't own nothing?
Right.
Devastated. But this is after a year.
Right.
I done dated you.
And now I love you. Now I love you. So
now I love you, and I'm like,
well, not enough for me to leave you,
how do
I'm
we fix this? How do we fix it? How do we be retaught? And if you don't want to, then it's a lot of people out here who had a spouse that didn't manage money right, and now their credit is struggling because they stayed for love.
That's true.
It's not funny, but I just like you just So that's why I said after the first date. Okay, you go on the first date, you know, whatever. If you want to keep seeing each other, I just think this. And of course, y'all, I haven't been dating in a while. So if you're engaged or you're dating and you're listening to us, okay, I haven't dated in a while. But I do think this. I think that y'all would be surprised if I said I was just dating, right? But I do think this. I think that you should ask hard questions. In this time, in 2018 and moving on, you should ask the hard questions as soon as you feel like it. Like, or you should tell the things soon. If you're not having sex, you should just, as soon as you feel like it, say, listen, I'm not having sex. We dating. We can date. We can go out on dates, whatever. But we're not having sex.
Right.
Even if you're not sure if you can do that.
Right.
But if that's the standard you want to uphold, or listen, look, I never owned nothing in my life. The car I got now is in my mother's name, whatever. Or, you know, you need to ask the hard questions like, how are you good with money?
Right.
First, you need to ask the question like, are you interested in just dating one person?
Right.
Where do you want to go with dating? Because some people out here mixed up. You know, they think that on this date we came with the conduct of, yes, I'm going to meet you, you're going to meet me, we're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we're going to move on. If I like you, you like me, we're going to move on and we're going to make this thing. But some people have no intention on being married. They've been scarred. They've seen bad marriages, nothing but bad marriages or marriages that didn't work out. So they have no intention on doing that. They want to date for the rest of their life.
Right.
I know a few people.
Yeah.
They're going to date for the rest of their life. And even if they only date you, that's all you're going to be is the girlfriend or the boyfriend. So we need to talk about this stuff in the beginning and not wait till a year. And that's how we get to, the fact of you got married and now you want to say she just or he just. No, you didn't ask all the right questions. And some things you will never find out. Some things you will only find out in marriage. Some things you will only find out as the relationship grows, because that's how people are. They're not willing to reveal things. Right. Or they want to, it's an element of surprise. They want you to find out that all the stuff is about to be in your name, because I can't even get a legal job, you know? Right. So that's just, and then that's the bed we chose, so we have to lie in it. But, you know, I think that now, you should be honest up front. Anybody that's listening, that's engaged, start being honest today. Mm-hmm. You know, start being honest. If the ring, you know, she wanted a $7,000 ring, because this is what she's going to do, okay? She wanted a $7,000 ring. You bought a $1,500 ring. Right. They're stones, they're diamonds, but they're not real ones. And that's okay. You know, that's okay if you can get along like that. But she's going to go take the ring and see how much it costs. Right, maybe I just know some crazy people, but and then when they find out that it doesn't cost what you thought, what you said you paid for it, there's going to be a problem. So let's just be for real. Like, you want a $7,000 ring and I can't afford it. You want to have a grand marriage and I can't afford it. So either we're going to date and be engaged for the next 6 years till I can afford it, or we're going to just have a little living room marriage.
Right.
And going to ask the pastor to come to the living room. And then, you know, we'll have a marriage, because you're still going to be married. Either way, if your wedding is grand and big, you're still going to be married. If it's small, you're going to be married. But you have to be real. And when you have this marriage of, you know, because some of us have this conduct of baller. I'm a baller, you know. And so when our spouses realize that you're not a baller, you have to, that it's kind of like, you got to figure out how to work with it.
Right.
And so, you know, if you're engaged and you think your fiance is a baller, really check it out. Find out. Because even if they are a baller, I don't think you should spend $1 million on a wedding and then your marriage, you can't even pay your BGE bill.
Right.
So, I know I just went on a rant real quick, but
that's good stuff.
But I just, you know, we have to reveal the real us. We have to each other, because if not, it will be failure. You know, it will be disappointment. And yes, we cannot reveal everything. We may not even think about some stuff to say, but there are a lot of things that you know who you are. You know who you really are.
Right.
You know, when you look in that mirror in the morning when you're in the bathroom. I hope you go in the bathroom when you wake up. You know who you are. When you look in that mirror, when you're praying, when you're seeking God and he's revealing things to you, you know who you are.
Right. So
be true to it, you know. And, you know, and like, I love the people that are engaged, because I always tell y'all that y'all have so much advantage over those of us who are already married. You have so much advantage because you can fix it now, and you won't be in counseling later.
Right.
And I can't say there won't be things that you will go to counseling for, but you won't be in counseling for some of the things that Team Bevins has talked about.
Right.
If you talk about it now,
right.
let our couples corner spark conversation. Thank you. Conversation for you. Even married couples, let it spark conversation for you, because there are things you can change. You can get it right now. Don't let it spark arguments.
Right.
Don't let it spark pointing fingers. Let it spark conversation.
Yeah.
Because some of you would really sit down and think, I really don't know my spouse. I really don't know who they really are.
Yeah.
I really don't know what they really like to do.
Right.
I really don't know the true conduct of them. And it's not good, because that person on their job knows who they really are. They know, they see, oh yeah, they like to bowl. Oh, they like to do this. We play this game every day at work.
Right.
And you mad because you didn't take time to learn just the little things of your spouse. And, if they have a conduct that is not so good, pray about it. Pray about it for the change of it. See where your part in it is, and watch God work. Because if one thing you can't do is think that you're going to say something about it one day and it's going to change the next.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
And for me, my confrontational, let me just say that, confrontational upfront did not get created in one day. So Marcus cannot think that he's going to be able to tell me something and the next day I'm like, okay, you're right. And I'm going to be so not want to deal with it, So you it's a process. Everything is a process. So if you are in your relationship, I would say that you need to work on sparking up this conversation, learning each other, changing the conduct that you know that you want to change, being who you want to be. Do that, say, hey, have a conversation with your spouse. Hey, I really don't like X, Y, Z. I'm gonna use myself, because I always use myself. I will tell Marcus in a minute. I really don't. I don't want to sit and go to 85. What are they called? Joy nights. I don't want to do it. Like, I will go, I will listen, but I don't want to do it, because what am I getting out of it? What is God? What's happening? There was a time when I was like, okay, it's cool, it's music, I love music, so that's fine. But now in my life, I just don't want to sit in 55 joy nights. What is the purpose of it?
Where's the substance?
What is God? Is God meeting me there? What's happening? Or are we just in competition and doing, and I haven't done any, I don't think. But and that's good, because he understands that. It's not that I don't want to be in his world or whatever, because when you have a musician for a spouse, anybody out there who has a musician for a spouse, they can go, and if God ain't in the building, then the music is, and they can flow with it. Right. But me, I'm just like, okay, well, after that song was good, now what's next? Let's go. Are we gonna go into worship? Oh no, we can't go into worship because we gotta keep moving. No, I want to labor for the Lord. Come on, what's going on?
Right.
So
I mean, like even to that, like, I think when you know what you're getting, you aren't disappointed, because you know what you're getting. So when you take that same scenario, when you take that same scenario of a joy night, for lack of a better term, there was some times that I had to go to some joy nights where I knew ministry wasn't going to be there. I just knew good music was, and so I didn't go looking for ministry. So I was never disappointed, because I already knew going into it that this particular group of people, or this particular host, or this particular environment was not going to produce that. But it was going to produce some great sounding singing and some great musicianship. And so that's what I wanted to gain from, and went to enjoy that. And so, but going into it, understanding what I was going for and what I was looking for, I wouldn't leave disappointed. And because I wasn't in a position to articulate that well, I took you with me, and you was looking for ministry while I was looking for music, and I'm leaving smiling, and you leaving like this was 2 hours of my life that I could have been doing something else with.
My daughter say, what our daughter say? 2 hours of my time that I can't get back.
Right. Yeah, that I got nothing out of. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that same thing applies within our relationships. Like if I can't effectively show you, or I can't explain to you what it is that I'm doing or what I'm looking for or why I'm doing what I'm doing when
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to you, and show you how it makes sense to me, then we'll never see eye to eye, and you'll always think that what I'm doing is stupid. You'll always think that what I'm doing is a waste of time when it
Yeah.
has some value to me, but I haven't been able to explain that, properly to you. So, we get that. So what would be one of your closing comments or remarks that you would like to leave and share with the viewers? You had to pinpoint.
Mine would be check your conduct, be yourself, but be consistent. Be consistent. That's the same thing I said earlier. This would be my closing remark, though. Be consistent. Consistent conduct wins.
That's good.
Hashtag that. Consistent conduct wins.
That's good.
That's a lot. Hashtag that.
No, that's good.
All right. Consistent
good.
conduct wins. I expect to see some hashtags. Y'all a little quiet tonight, but I'm a little quiet too. So, okay. So, consistent conduct wins. That's what I would say. I would say consistent conduct wins.
That's good.
The good conduct.
Right.
And we all are mature enough to know what is,
Yeah.
not so good.
Right, exactly. I agree, and I think for me, I would leave with the concept that you need to be honest with yourself before you go trying to engage anybody else or try to do anything, impress anybody else, try to bring anybody else on board with your life and what you're doing. Be honest with yourself. Know where you are. Know what you want. Know who you're going to be, what you're not going to be, what you're not going to do. Like, don't play with anybody's life. Don't play with their emotions. Don't play with their feelings. Don't play with their heart. Don't play with their time. And don't play with their money. You know what I'm saying? So, like, be straight up with yourself before you encounter somebody else, so that you can make sure that they know and understand that this is who I am, this is what I want, this is where I am, so we're on the same page, and you can make your decision that you're going to take it or leave it. But I don't want you to feel like I forced you to take it and now you want to leave it, and now we got a problem because you've been taking it all this time. You ain't going to start trying to leave.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's what I would leave with you. Be yourself and be true to you. Be the truest you that you can be.
So thank y'all for tuning in. Some of the content from tonight came out of a book that was written by Marcus Bevins, W. Marcus Bevins, 64 Tools for a Successful Relationship. You can purchase that on our store. That is www.mkt.com/W-Marcus-Bevins. And we would like to thank everyone that listened tonight. Pray for us. We'll pray for you. We thank Mix Station Radio. We thank, who I wanted to thank? I want to thank our parents.
Yep.
We thank our parents. And we thank Pastor Tony Smith. So y'all have a good night.
And we also want to thank our producer, who is very patient with us.
Yeah.
Our producer said thanks for being patient with us.
Please be patient with me. God is not
He
through
makes
with
us
me yet.
he makes us look good and sound good, and we appreciate it. So, but we're definitely grateful for Mix Station Radio, Mix Station Live. For those of you who don't have the app, go and download it so that you can hear this on the app, and then you can go back to the app at any point and listen to it on demand. So if you tuned in a little late, you can go to the app, Mix Station Live, download the app, and you'll be able to listen to it from the beginning at any point. And that way you ain't got to be at work, stealing work time, trying to be on Facebook Live. But it is available there.
Oh,
Thank you.
goodness.
It is available online as well on Facebook. So if you want to watch, then you can do that. So we're grateful for that.
And please share.
That's right.
Those of you who are on Facebook, please share.
So we appreciate you all for tuning in tonight, and we will be back with you next Monday at 9 p.m.
Thank you for tuning in to the Couples Corner with Team Bevins. We're grateful that you stopped by and shared your time with us tonight. We look forward to seeing you again here next week at 9 p.m. And feel free to share this on your page with any of your people who would benefit from this conversation. We're grateful that you shared your time with us. And now we gotta go, but we look forward to connecting with you again here on the Couples Corner. getting better.